Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. How could a man known for his humility and kindness suddenly become the center of one of China's most shocking financial mysteries? On the night of September 11, 2025, actor Yu Menglong fell from a high-rise building in Beijing. The news was labeled a tragic accident. But was it? What if his death wasn't an accident at all, but the result of something far darker, buried deep within the heart of power and greed? During the days that followed Yumang Long's sudden and bewildering death, fragments of information began to drift through social media and local newsrooms, each more unbelievable than the last. Among the files that surfaced were official registration papers revealing that his name had been attached to 45 different companies. To the public, it sounded absurd, almost impossible. How could a man whose life appeared so modest, who wore plain shirts and queued quietly for the subway after filming, be the legal representative of a business network worth billions? Those who knew him best could not understand it. Friends described him as gentle, introspective, and often uncomfortable with attention. He donated quietly to charities, avoided extravagant dinners, and preferred long rides home in silence rather than the glare of luxury events. The discovery shattered that image and replaced it with something surreal and disturbing. The documents painted him as the owner of a colossal empire, a man of hidden influence, yet the truth whispered by colleagues suggested the opposite, that he was being used. It was as though his identity had been borrowed, his reputation repurposed to conceal something far larger than anyone could see. Each headline added weight to the confusion. Actor linked to massive financial network. Yumang Long's signature found on company records. Yet no one could explain how those papers existed or who truly filled them out. The entertainment world trembled. Other actors began to delete old photos, brands quietly removed his name from campaigns, and the press shifted from sorrow to suspicion. In the corridors of Beijing studios, people spoke in hushed tones about power brokers and shadow investors, about how clean names are sometimes chosen to cover dirty money. The contrast between his quiet spirit and the monstrous scale of the scandal felt like a cruel twist of fate. Was this coincidence, or had he stepped too close to a truth he was never meant to touch? As the storm grew, so did a sense of dread among those who cared for him. They recalled his last interviews, his tired smile, his words about wanting peace after years of noise. Now that peace was gone, replaced by noise louder than ever, the man they had admired for his sincerity was being rewritten by a narrative he could no longer defend. Somewhere between those forged documents and unanswered calls, a haunting question began to rise. Who had turned a humble artist into the unwilling face of a billion-dollar deception? As the story deepened, the calm curiosity that once surrounded Yumang Long's case gave way to a storm of disbelief and anger. What began as scattered online rumors had transformed into a roaring wave of accusations, each claiming to hold the key to his mysterious downfall. Some said he had discovered evidence of corruption involving people far more powerful than anyone dared to name. Others whispered that he had refused to cooperate, that he had been warned, and that the accident was never meant to leave him alive. Every rumor carried a shadow of fear, yet within those whispers, there was a single thread of conviction, the belief that Yu Menglong had been silenced. The internet became a battlefield of emotion. Millions of fans refused to accept the official version of events. They dug into every document, every recording, every photograph that might prove his innocence. Hashtags demanding justice trended across social media, their words raw and desperate. He didn't deserve this. Find the truth. Justice for Yu Menglong. Comment sections flooded with heartbreak and fury. The story had become more than a tragedy. It was a reflection of how fragile truth could be in a world ruled by silence. Journalists who tried to pursue the case spoke cautiously, their articles filled with vague metaphors and unanswered questions, as if even the act of speaking could invite danger. Behind the polished headlines, there was a sense that everyone knew more than they could say. The line between truth and fear blurred until no one could tell which side was real. The public began to imagine a secret war taking place behind closed doors, a struggle between those who sought to bury the truth and those who refused to let it die. For many, Yumang Long's face became more than a symbol of innocence. It became a mirror of their own frustration, a quiet reminder that even good men can be crushed by forces too great to fight. His story spoke to something deep within the human spirit, the longing to believe that honesty still matters, that one person's light can challenge the darkness. Yet as the days passed, the silence from the authorities grew heavier, suffocating. Hope trembled like a candle in the wind, and the world watched, waiting for justice to speak, knowing that perhaps it never would. Days turned into weeks, yet the storm surrounding Yu Menglong's death refused to fade. The headlines that once screamed his name began to quieten, replaced by the next wave of celebrity gossip and political distraction. But beneath the surface, among those who still cared, the silence became unbearable. It was not the silence of peace. It was the heavy, suffocating quiet of something unresolved, something deliberately hidden. People had stopped shouting for justice not because they stopped believing, but because they realized the system they were demanding answers from might never respond. And in that stillness, Yu Menglong's story took on a new meaning. It was no longer just about a man who died. It was about everything his death revealed. To many, he became a reflection of how vulnerable a person can be in an industry built on illusions. The entertainment world sells dreams, but behind the lights there are contracts written in invisible ink, alliances formed in shadows, and prices paid in silence. Yu Menglong, once loved for his sincerity, had become an unwilling participant in a game far larger than himself. His name was borrowed, his identity manipulated, and when the truth came too close to the surface, the easiest solution was to erase him. What was left behind was not just grief, but a question that echoed across millions of hearts. How many more like him exist, caught between innocence and power, never able to tell their side of the story? As the months passed, fans began to gather each year on the anniversary of his death, lighting candles both online and in the streets. They posted old interviews where he smiled shyly and spoke about art, about living with purpose rather than fame. His words, once overlooked, now carried the weight of prophecy. I just want to make something meaningful, even if no one remembers my name. That sentence began to circulate across the internet, written on murals, fan art, and short films, transforming his tragedy into a quiet movement of remembrance. In a world that often forgets too quickly, Yu Menglong's story endured not because of scandal, but because of the purity people still associated with him. It reminded audiences everywhere that truth is fragile, that justice does not always roar. It sometimes whispers through those who refuse to forget. And even though the faces behind the 45 companies remain hidden, his legacy became something stronger than money or fame. It became a symbol of resilience, of quiet resistance against the machinery of corruption. Perhaps justice will never arrive in the way the world hopes. Perhaps no one will ever stand in court to confess what really happened that night. But the truth has a way of living beyond silence. It lingers in the memories of those who still believe, in the eyes of fans who refuse to let his story die. Yu Menglong may have been taken from the world, but what he represented, a belief in sincerity, humility, and courage, continues to rise each time his name is spoken. His story has become a mirror, reminding us that even in darkness, a single voice can still be heard if enough hearts choose to listen. Thank you for watching Update X24H. If you believe that truth should never be buried, tap subscribe and turn on notifications. More hidden stories, more human truths, right here every week. Stay curious, stay awake, and together, let's uncover what lies beneath the surface.